Welcome to our ISV Spotlight webinar for November. This is Robert Cheney, CEO of Integrato, and today I'd like to shine a light on InsightWorks. InsightWorks has been a leader in the Microsoft ERP space for over 15 years. We worked with them on many projects over this time, and they share our commitment to help clients become more efficient with operational productivity. They do this by empowering technology to match the key processes that make your business successful. While they have solutions and expertise around distribution and manufacturing, we find many of their solutions can be adopted in other industries that have similar needs. Today, we're going to focus on free solutions they offer to anyone with a Business Central subscription that can be installed and utilized, and yes, for free. With that, I'd like to turn our session over to Mark Amblin, President of InsightWorks, to tell you more about his company and solutions.
Thanks, Robert. Good morning or afternoon, everyone. As Robert said, today we're going to go through a little bit about who InsightWorks is, who we are, and the solutions that we're going to cover today are, as Robert mentioned, the free solutions, which do really help empower you to get more out of your Business Central investment without spending any additional money. And we're going to look at the software. So we're going to talk about it. You're unfortunately going to have to listen to me talk for a little while, and then we'll jump in and actually have a look at how the software works and how you can put it to use in your environment. We will have a little Q&A session at the end if there are any questions, but ask any questions you have at any time during the presentation. There's a question box in the GoToWebinar panel there. Send your questions and I'll answer them as we go through the session or at the end. All right, with that, let's talk a little bit about us. InsightWorks, we've been around for a while now, and we work primarily in the manufacturing distribution area, as Robert mentioned, but we do have solutions that cover a lot more than those specific verticals, if you will. We're based in Western Canada. I'm up here in Edmonton, but we work globally, and we work with Integrato to deliver these solutions. So if you have any questions about these solutions or any of the other ones we talk about today, feel free to get in touch with Robert or your rep there, and they will help you out and get you the information you need. All right, now with that, what we're going to be talking about today are really the free applications that we offer for anybody with Business Central Cloud. And you can get these installed. Robert and his team will install those for you, or you can install them yourself from AppSource and start using them immediately. We don't ask you for fancy registrations or your firstborn or anything like that. You can install it and start using it pretty much right away. So these are some of the ones I'm going to cover off today. And I'll actually go through them in a little bit of detail here, and then we'll jump in and see what they look like. So the first one I wanted to talk about was WMS Express. So anybody that has any sort of inventory could probably use this. In fact, anybody that needs barcoding for inventory, probably 75–80% of the people out there that need barcoding, this is the only tool you'll ever need for that. So it handles all of the key requirements in a warehouse situation or retail situation or parts room or anything like that. And those are things like receiving inventory, doing your inventory counts, picking or shipping your product, and moving products from bin to bin if you have bins enabled. So this can really be utilized in almost any environment. It could be a retail outlet where you just want to do inventory counts and maybe receiving product by barcode, or it could be a full-blown 100,000 square foot warehouse where you want to do picking and bin movements and all those sorts of things as well. It'll work in any of those environments. And again, it's completely free. Now, one of the questions we usually get on this, and I'll actually show you in the demo, is, well, I want to automate my inventory management, but I can't, I don't have barcodes on my products. The vendor doesn't put them on there or whatever. Great, we have another tool that allows you to add barcodes and actually print those labels right from a handheld device. So we'll talk about that in a sec. Now, this again, I might want to receive or pick or do whatever in WMS Express, but I also need to be able to ship things out the door. So for that, we have Order Ship Express. And that's a free tool that, it's hard to describe because I don't want to say it's a free shipping app because you don't get free shipping, but the actual application is free. And what it does is it allows you to get discounted rates from UPS and USPS and generate the shipping labels directly from within Business Central and get the shipping rates and all of those sorts of things, the tracking information directly in Business Central from a sales order. So you don't have to exit Business Central. You don't have to use WorldShip or the USPS site or any of those sorts of things to generate your shipping labels, get the tracking information, track the costs. That is all done in Business Central, and it is no cost for the app at all. All right. Now, let's say you need to manage production scheduling or assembly orders. Maybe using assembly orders to kit your products, or maybe you just want to view information on when your sales orders are shipping, or have a calendar in Business Central. Well, the Graphical Scheduler does all of that. Now, the default behavior for it is meant to be used with production orders. So when you fire it up, it'll show you all your production orders in a Gantt style view. You can drag and drop those production orders, all those sorts of things. But it is very flexible and very configurable. So you can actually go in there, and if you wanted to plot, when your sales orders are supposed to ship, you can do that. Or if you have a task list or something like that, and you want to see a calendar view, you can add that in there and plot whatever you want on this scheduler. You can create your own views and have multiple views to show you different pieces of information from within Business Central. But if you need, if you're doing production scheduling, if you're using production orders, this is the ideal tool. You slap it in there, you can drag and drop, you can visualize your schedule, you can do all of those sorts of things with the Graphical Scheduler. All right. Now, document drag and drop, this is DocXtender. And DocXtender can be used anywhere with really any type of business, because really what it does is allows you to simply drag documents into Business Central, and they'll either store inside Business Central or in SharePoint, if you like. And the way it's stored in SharePoint makes it easy to find those documents in SharePoint or from within Business Central. So it makes it very easy to drag and drop into Business Central, yet make those documents available to maybe people that don't have access to Business Central, or for websites or other areas, because we're loading it into SharePoint. Then, of course, with SharePoint, you can have all sorts of automation and things like that, and revision controls and all those sorts of things that you can enable as well. All right, so that's DocXtender. And then once you've got those documents in Business Central, you might need to do some printing. So Business Central in the cloud, the way the printing works, it doesn't really have direct printing. And so what we have is a connector to a company called PrintNode that gives you cloud-based printing. So you still sign up with PrintNode, and they have a free tier and a paid tier, I think is about $9 a month. But that gives you cloud printing, where from within Business Central, I can hit print and I don't see any print dialog or PDF or any of that sort of thing. It just immediately goes to the printer I've said this thing needs to print on. And that also helps us from handheld devices and other areas where I can just say print, and it will print out to whatever printer is specified for that report. So it does eliminate some steps from within the Business Central user interface for printing, and it makes it possible to do automated printing. Like maybe I want to print 5 different reports when I print a sales order, maybe an order confirmation and a label and a picking list and all those sorts of things. That can all be automated to print all in one shot without any user interaction. So it does make it a lot more seamless to do printing within Business Central. And then when you're printing, you might want to have barcodes on those products or on those reports. So you might want to put a barcode on your picking list, or barcodes beside the items on the picking list, or you might want to print item labels. As I mentioned earlier, you might want to start receiving product by barcode, but your vendor doesn't ship them with barcodes. Or from within Business Central or on the handheld device, I can hit print and maybe print out all my own custom labels using Barcode Generator, slap them on the boxes and scan them in. So we do have that ability to generate the barcodes very easily from within Business Central. And we provide a whole bunch of sample reports with the system, about 20 or so sample reports you can use, along with all the source code and layouts for those reports if you want to modify them and change them to your specific environment. All right, so that's kind of a quick rundown of the various free applications we have. Let's actually jump in and see what they look like. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through a little process where we create a sales order and run sort of through the life cycle of that order, and I'm going to do that in Business Central. Now, I'm actually going to use our product called Counter Sales here. It's not really important to know much about that. I'll talk about that later, but I'm just basically entering a sales order here. So we're going to go in. I'm going to enter my sales order. First, it's Counter Sales forces me to indicate who I am, so that if I'm at a sales counter, it knows what the heck is going on. And I'm just going to come in here and find somebody that I can use. We'll use John Doe as a cash customer, but we're going to create the order for him. That's okay. Really, all I'm doing is creating a sales order here in Business Central. And now I'm going to go in and add some items that I'm selling to it. So, I can do the search, the standard Business Central data entry here, but I'm going to find something a little different. This person wants to buy a bicycle, and they say, I want a bike with a gel saddle and aluminum handlebars and maybe a front mud flap or something like that. So I can search that, and it gives me a list of all the different items that I've got that match that description. All right, so here's the gel saddle and the aluminum and blah, blah, blah. And I can come in and see all sorts of details about what availability I have at my various stores or warehouses and all sorts of good stuff here. And I'm just going to grab one of these guys to sell this specific bike model, and we add that to the sales order. So again, no real difference between this and standard Business Central. I'm simply coming in, creating a sales order, adding an item to it, and now I'm ready to sell this particular item. So, the next step is I'd send this out to the customer, or maybe they're standing here at the counter, and I tell them what it is. And later on, they email me and say, okay, here's my purchase order. Please ship me this bike, or, here's some instructions I want for when you assemble or manufacture this bike. Great, we need to capture that information. Maybe I want to capture that email. I can just drag and drop that whole email right into Business Central here. Or if I've got a document that they've sent me, like, my purchase order or something like that, I can just drag and drop that over. And again, it'll automatically attach in Business Central or in SharePoint. So I'm using the Business Central attached documents capability here. But again, we can set this up. It's just in the config where you say store that in SharePoint. And now I can expose that document throughout the organization without having to have Business Central. And, you can do multiple documents. So I can grab, this guy and this guy or whatever, drag and drop those over, and it'll come in and attach all those documents for me automatically. So that's kind of how DocXtender works. Now, I've entered the order, I've dragged and dropped some stuff over. Next step is, I'm going to print this thing out. So again, when I hit print here, what it will do is you'll notice the printer here is pre-specified. And this is that PrintNode Connector. It does this because we've indicated which printer we're printing to. And when I hit print, it's automatically going to go to that printer. It's not going to pop up to browse or print preview or do anything like that, or download a PDF or any of those sorts of things. It's just going to immediately print to that specific printer. And again, if I've got my report selection set up so that I want to print 3 different documents, when I hit print here, it will do that. It'll print those individual documents to whatever printer I've specified within the configuration. Okay, so that is available because I've got the PrintNode connector set up and working. The other thing I'll mention is, when I go and print, maybe I want to print the pick ticket. And again, I could have printed that at the same time I printed the order confirmation or whatever. But here, I'm just going to do a quick print preview of this one. And you'll notice this, I'll back up in a sec, but the first one where I printed the order confirmation, that was printing to the showroom printer. This pick ticket was printing to the warehouse printer. So it'll automatically send it to the right printer. And you'll notice up at the top here, this particular one has a barcode in it. So that's a data matrix barcode. You can use any barcode format you want with Barcode Generator. So, the standard linear barcodes like a UPC code, that sort of thing. Or you can use these data matrix barcodes for scanning. But this was generated by Barcode Generator, and the layout and everything for this report, again, is available on our knowledge base. So you can take this, customize it, put barcodes beside the item, whatever the heck you want to do if you want to extend the capability of that report. Okay, so that's basically it. I've entered the order, I've dragged and dropped some stuff in our free DocXtender tool. I've printed out the document using a PrintNode connector because it's sending it to the right printer, makes it easy on everybody. I've printed a pick ticket or label or whatever I need with barcodes on it. So all that kind of stuff is part of that free suite of tools. So now that this is done, maybe at this point I come in and I create my my production order for this particular item, or assembly order, or whatever it is, to produce this particular item that I need to ship. And we need to sort of figure out how we're going to schedule that particular order. So the way we do that, of course, is we go into the Graphical Scheduler. So I'm just going to jump into this one where I already have it open. And here's an example of a couple of different production orders visualized in the production scheduler. right? So now I've got this zoomed into the hour. You can zoom out to see the weekly view or monthly view or whatever you like, or you can even come in and do a calendar view. Now this data here doesn't really lend itself to a calendar view, but if you had things like a task list or something like that, this basically gives you an Outlook style view of all your information. And this is production orders, but again, this could be a task list or assembly orders or whatever the heck you want it to show on here. So we do have that ability to show, different zoom levels and things like that. But when we're talking about production orders, this is a pretty typical view. I can come in here, I can see all my operations. The colors on here you define, so I've got different colors for different states of things, and the information that's shown in the scheduler and the tooltips, that's all configurable by you. But the default, what you're seeing here is the default if you install it. If I click on this operation, it highlights everything, and I can drag and drop this thing around if I want to move it to a different machine or move it to a different time, and drag and drop that. It'll reschedule all the other operations accordingly. So it's a nice little visualization tool, nice little drag and drop tool for production orders. But as I mentioned, maybe you don't use production orders. Maybe you use assembly orders, or you use jobs or something else. You can come in here and you can add whatever you want, create whatever views you like, and add any information you like into that graphical scheduler. So here's this any custom table. You might have your own custom tables that were built, or you decide you want to plot something from your sales lines or your sales headers or whatever you like. You can throw that on a chart, either with production data or without. You can put any number of different things on that chart at the same time if you really want it. So if you do assembly orders or service orders or even the warehouse picks, you can add that onto a view and make that visible. Okay, so Graphical Scheduler is a very flexible tool. Even if you're not using production orders, you can go in there and make it plot pretty much anything you like. And again, configure it to show, different information on the screen, different colors, all sorts of stuff in there pretty quickly and easily to show you exactly what you need to see to manage your production or your warehouse activities or your sales activities or whatever you want to do. Okay, so that's a little on the Graphical Scheduler. Now, let's say I come in here, and I'm working on this guy and I'm done. So I come in and, ideally you'd use something like our shop floor insight tool to capture what was actually done in the shop floor. But let's say I've built this thing, I've completed it. What I'm going to come in here and do then is come in and use a production journal to say I've completed this product and it's done. Okay, so or maybe I want to come in here and look at which components I need for this particular thing or whatever else. And let's say I do have a bunch of purchased components that I need to use for this particular activity, this particular production activity. Well, first thing is I need to order them. And we do have tools, by the way, to help you with purchasing and scheduling and things like that. It's our enhanced planning pack. That's not a free tool. That'll help you with purchasing and planning and all sorts of things. But once I've cut those purchase orders, or once I have that product in stock and I need to pick it for my production activity or my assembly order activity, well, ideally, I'd want to use barcoding to do that. So the way we do that is with WMS Express. Now, WMS Express is kind of a light version of our full Warehouse Insight product, but WMS Express, again, does all of our key activities within a warehouse. So we can do our inventory counts, our receiving, our picking, or shipping, depending on what you've got configured, and bin-to-bin movements. So what you're seeing on the screen here is a little handheld device that's running WMS Express. And to set up WMS Express, once you install it from AppSource and run the setup wizard, it's a few barcode scans to get it running on your device. And the first time you do it, it might take you an hour in total to install it from AppSource and set up the device and everything else. After that, it's about 5 minutes per device to set it up, and you're immediately up and running and talking to Business Central. So what you see on the screen here, this little thing that says Memoir K, I'm just going to show you my webcam here, and that's the actual little device that I have in my hand. So you can see, as I'm not scrolling or anything, but as I select one of these things on the webcam, you see it update on the screen there with my greasy fingerprints all over the screen. But here you can see it. So what we're going to do is go through a little bit of the receiving. Oh, and by the way, this little guy down here, if you enable the camera capability, it puts a little camera icon there, and I can hit that to actually use the camera to scan barcodes if you want to run this on a phone or something instead of a dedicated handheld device. And just as an aside, this guy beside me here, this is running the full Warehouse Insight product on a more rugged device. Doesn't really matter which device you use. Rugged one like this will be fine with WMS Express as well. And we do have, if you go to our website, we've got a list of the hardware that we recommend and relative pricing and all that kind of stuff, so you can check that out as well. And anyway, on this little MemRK guy here, I like it. It's got a nice physical keypad and things like that. We've installed this. It took me 10 minutes to get this thing installed, and now I'm going to receive some product. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tap the receiving icon. It's going to open up and give me a list of all the POs in Business Central that I can receive against. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to choose that second PO there because I've got the vendor's packing slip in my hand. It's got my purchase order number on it. So I choose it from the list, or I can use this filter thing up at the top here to type in part of the PO number, or I can scan one of the items and it'll filter this list down to the items or the purchase orders that have that item on it, that sort of thing. But I know which purchase order I'm going to receive, so I choose it from the list, hit enter, and away we go. And by the way, on the webcam, it's kind of hard to see the blue highlight on the black, but in person it looks just like it does on the screen here. It's very easy to see and everything else. And what this has done is it's shown me all the items that I need to receive on that particular PO. And here's where we get into the question, well, what if I don't have barcodes for those particular items? Well, there's a couple of things we can do. One is, as I mentioned, we can come in and hit the menu and hit print. And what that will do is actually just print those barcodes that I've got set up, or whatever report I've got set up will print as soon as I hit that print button. And that's using our PrintNode Connector, because it's going to tell, hey, this little guy is going to say, hey, Business Central, print out a label or print out a report, and it'll print from that menu. And so I could go out and print out a bunch of labels, slap them on the boxes, and then scan them in. Okay, and that's pretty easy. Maybe there are things that I don't want to barcode. Great, I can also come in here, and I'm just going to use the little keypad. I could select what I want, right? Hit enter, and manually type in the quantity that I'm going to receive. Or if I don't have a physical keypad, I can use the change quantity menu item here to change the quantity manually without scanning anything. Okay, and you can actually set that up on a per item or per item category basis, where I can say some items I let people manually enter the quantity without scanning, and all the other items I'm forcing them to actually scan the barcode. So let's say I do have barcodes in the system. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually scan a barcode, and I'm going to show you the type of barcode I'm scanning. So what you see here on the webcam screen, that is a list of sample barcodes I've created using the Barcode Generator tool. So it has a sample barcode list page and report you can use to generate, sample barcodes you can use for testing, or, if you have standard barcodes you want to scan at receiving or whatever, you can use that to generate your sheet of barcodes to use. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to scan this top one, this 1908-S. If you look at the screen, 1908-S, well, actually, let's look at this screen. 1908-S is the second guy on here. And by the way, I'm scanning the same barcode, like the same item number as what's in Business Central, but this could be a UPC code, it could be a vendor barcode, it can be whatever you like. Doesn't matter what the barcode format is or what's in the barcode, we can cross-reference that back to your item numbers that you're using in Business Central. Okay, so at any rate, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in, I'm going to scan that barcode. It's going to find the item in the list for me automatically, show me a picture of it, because if I'm doing my own barcoding and it shows me a picture of a blue chair there, and I've got, I don't know, desk or banana or something in my hand, I know I've got a problem with the barcode, and I can make that correction. Okay. Anyway, now what I've done is I scanned that barcode and I say I found 12 of them, and immediately it's updated Business Central with those 12, and it tells me I have 8 more to find of that specific product. That's how easy it is. That's all real time with Business Central. Takes very little time to get this thing set up and working, and you can barcode all your receiving, all your picking, shipping, inventory counts, everything else with the handheld device. And again, just to reinforce that, I'm going to scan that barcode again. It's going to find it, and I'm going to say now I found 4 more of them. And what it's doing is it's just, keeps incrementing Business Central and decrementing what I have left to find in that particular vendor shipment. And that's all there is to it. Now, I won't get into too much detail about the other apps, but again, inventory counts in a retail environment, in a warehouse environment, whatever you like. We have two different modes. One is the standard count, which I'm using here, and the other is our advanced count. So the advanced count is a separate subscription you get, but the advanced count is a lot more advanced than the standard count. But the standard count will work just fine in most environments where I can come in, I can open up an existing count where it says, here's a list of items to count, or I can do like a blind count where I just send people out to scan whatever they find in the warehouse, and we just add it into Business Central. So I'm going to scan a barcode here real quick, and what it's going to do, again, optionally show me the picture, and let's say I found 21 of those things in the warehouse, and that's how we do our inventory count. Now I can go, well, I counted 21 twice there, but anyway, I can go into Business Central here and reconcile that and post my inventory count from within Business Central. But that's how easy it is to do inventory counts. Now you'll notice here, I didn't scan a bin or anything. The location I've got set up doesn't have bins enabled. So, it doesn't ask me to scan a bin, but if I did have bins enabled, I would also indicate which bin I was counting at the same time. Anyway, so that's a little bit on WMS Express. And again, 75–80% of the people that need barcoding, this is probably all you will ever need in your environment to do that barcoding. Okay, so now back to sort of what we were doing. I entered the order. I did some drag and drop for DocXtender. I printed some stuff using PrintNode Connector. I generated barcodes with our Barcode Generator. I used our Graphical Scheduler to schedule that product, or at least visualize what's going on for, even my purchase order receipts or my production, everything else. Then I used WMS Express to receive that product. I didn't show you picking in WMS Express, but I can also do picks for production orders, right? If you've got the inventory picks or warehouse picks enabled in Business Central, I can go ahead and pick all the product I need for production orders or assembly orders as well, if you're using warehouse picks. And so now I'm done. I've done all that, and I produce my item. And now I actually need to go ahead and ship it out the door, right? So again, ideally, you're using something like our shop floor insight product or something like that to indicate what you've actually done on the shop floor, or even warehouse insight to do your output for assembly orders or production orders. Regardless, I've recorded that I've completed this product, and again, I need to now ship it out the door. So what I do is I'm going to go back into that sales order I created earlier, open that guy up for John Doe here. And there's the item. It's now ready to ship. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to generate some shipping labels for this particular product or this particular order. So the way I do that is I simply come in and I say create shipping labels. And what it's going to do is it's going to ask me for the shipping agent to use. And what we're in right now is OrderShip Express. And currently OrderShip Express supports UPS and USPS. You don't set up your own UPS or USPS accounts. They come in automatically after you set up the connector and everything else. But probably mid next year, so mid 2023, will allow a third option. So if you want on FedEx or something like that as well. But for now, you've got these two options, and you get discounted rates on these carriers. And I'm just going to say, you know what, I'm going to ship this UPS, and I'm going to ship it UPS ground for fun. And again, if your customer had a default shipping agent and service, that would come in automatically. I'm just manually choosing this. And then I tell the system, it's going to be a 20-inch by 10-inch by 6-inch box, and you can change units and measure and all that. And it's going to be 12 pounds or whatever. Or if you want to use a predefined, UPS or USPS box, you can choose that from the list as well to get better rates and those sorts of things. And actually, maybe I'm shipping a separate box. Maybe the pedals or something on this thing come in a separate box as well. So I'm shipping these two packages here, and that's all I need. And now maybe I've got the customer on the phone. He says, well, yeah, what's it going to cost me to ship it? Well, I can say, okay, well, let me go out and get that rate. Oh, you know what? This is going to tell me I can't ship internationally. So that is actually one of the limitations on this. It does not allow you to do international shipments with OrderShip Express. If you want international shipments, what you'd want to do is get Dynamic Ship. Dynamic Ship allows international shipments, a whole bunch of goodies, that you can do. So this guy's not going to let me ship internationally, so that's actually good to see. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab an order here that is not international. Let's do these guys. So I'm going to come in here, and same thing, this guy's already UPS ground, and we're going to do a 20-inch by 8-inch by 12-inch box. That's 12 pounds, and maybe another, like I said, 6 by 7 by 8. That's 5 pounds. And now the customer says, what's it going to cost me? So I hit the get rate. It's going to go out to UPS in real time and say that's $39 to ship it. And based on our rules, we're going to charge the customer $47, or I can overwrite this and type in 99 or whatever amount I actually want to charge the customer. And he says, well, you know what, I better get a signature on that when it's delivered. So great, I go in here and say, oh, that's already with the adult signature. And he says, well, maybe I actually don't need a signature. So I've got some options I can set here to change the rate and things like that. And when I change those options and we run the get rate, we'll come back and, you know, half the price almost if I don't get the signature. And he says, yep, that looks good to me. And so I just say get label. And what it'll do now is it'll print my 2 UPS labels for these packages. And again, if you're using the PrintNode connector, this automatically goes out to my printer and prints out. Because I don't have the PrintNode connector set up for this particular report, it shows up just as a normal PDF that I can now print from within the browser. Okay, so again, PrintNode connector, very handy because those shipping labels would automatically be on my printer right now, slap them on the door, and away they go. And you'll also notice down here, we've actually added in that freight cost automatically. That shipping charge is being added in automatically onto the order without me having to remember to do it or anything else. So you're never going to lose money on your shipping because you forgot to type in a shipping charge or something like that. We also track the cost of this. So the cost of this was like 26 bucks. Well, we keep that on the sales line as well. We put that in the unit cost field. So if you want to do reporting to say, are we making or losing money on our shipping, you have all that information. You know what it cost you, you know what you charge the customer. Now, by the way, if you want to go back and look at, you know, previous packages you've shipped and all those sorts of things, it has that. You can void the label. If I go into the postage shipment, I can, you know, reprint the label or see what we've done, those sorts of things. All that tracking information is also automatically added into the sales order. So the tracking number that came back from UPS or USPS is added in there. So it's completely integrated. All I had to do was hit that one button to get the labels, and everything is handled automatically. Now, I mentioned on the reporting here where, you know, we track the cost and the price. If we're using Dynamic Ship, we actually have much better analysis tools available as well. So Dynamic Ship, again, is a much more comprehensive shipping solution. This one's great. Like, you hit one button and it's very quick and easy to generate your labels. If you need something more substantial, like you have, you know, people doing packaging and shipping in the warehouse, that's when you'd look at Dynamic Ship. In Dynamic Ship, we have something called a Dynamic Ship Analysis application. So this is also installed from AppSource for Power BI. And what this does is gives you a whole bunch of dashboards you can use to evaluate what's going on in your you know, shipping area. So it tells you things like how much you spent on shipping, what your shipping volume is based by warehouse or by carrier or whatever you want. And of course you can, you know, filter and drill down and all sorts of fun stuff. And one of the nice things that, you know, I was just talking about is that ability to see are you making or losing money on your shipping. And this dashboard gives it to you by customer. So I can see, you know, this Alpine Ski House, you know, over whatever date range or whatever other filters I've set here, I've actually lost $800 on the shipping to Alpine Ski House. Now that might be okay because maybe they get a lot of free shipping, or it might be, you know, a problem I need to look into. But this information here, this is done by customer, but if you like, you can do that by carrier, by warehouse location, by salesperson, by product type, whatever you like, because we've got that data tracked right down at the sales line level. Okay. All right, so that's a little bit on the Dynamic Ship Analysis. The Dynamic Ship Analysis app is free, but of course, to run it, you need to have Dynamic Ship installed. All right, now, speaking of things like Dynamic Ship and those sorts of things, what we've seen today is 5 or 6 of the free applications that we offer, but we've got a whole bunch of other applications available. So one of the things we talked about was, dynamic ship. If you need more advanced shipping capabilities, dynamic ship is the guy to use. It can support hundreds of carriers, including LTL, everything else. It's got packaging interface, quick ship. It's got a whole bunch of stuff that you need if you've got, a shipping department. That's what you'd want to look at. Order Ship Express is what we looked at today for quick and easy shipping from sales orders. It's great for that. And again, all these other things. So we looked at Graphical Scheduler today, but if you want more advanced scheduling where you don't have to do drag and drop, because who wants to do drag and drop scheduling? We've got MX APS that can do full-blown automated advanced scheduling. So if you go to our website, I'll show you in a sec here, or check with Robert, that's a better idea, check with Integrado. They will help you out, help you decide what you need to, get the most value out of Business Central, empower that investment in Business Central to do what you need to do. So if you do have questions, feel free to contact them, and they will be able to help you out with whatever you need.
Thank you, Mark, for that information. Just a reminder for those looking to install the solution, we do recommend you first try it in your sandbox environment to make sure that it's something that you test like anything else. You want to make sure it works for your processes. If that works well, we can always put it in your production environment. If you have any questions on that, again, feel free to work with us. Again, thank you, Mark, for your time, and look forward to our next monthly spotlight. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.